Hello everybody, Sunday Adelaja here, back to you again. Today I want to talk about Obasanjo's last letter to President Buhari, open letter, but I titled it Obasanjo's letter and why Buhari must listen now. But however, I must start this by talk by saying that I was wrong. I was wrong about Obasanjo this time. I heard about this last letter I wrote, but I just thought that this is Obasanjo again in his style. And I just refused to read the letter, but I read the comments and what people are saying about the letter, but I didn't read the letter itself. So that is being prejudiced, and I was wrong. I thought that Obasanjo is just launching another attack. Well, I was again wrong. By even not reading the letter, I was wrong. And I suppose there are a lot of people in my shoes that are maybe supporters of Buhari, President Buhari, and therefore they don't take the opposition and Obasanjo in particular serious. Or some other people might not be supporters of Buhari necessarily, but they have some prejudice also against Obasanjo, so they will not take his letter seriously. I would like to start by saying I did that mistake, and I'm saying don't make that mistake. Go read that letter, and not just read the letter, but go study the letter. My journey to doing this video started by me deciding to read the letter for another purpose. I wanted to read the letter to do a video against Obasanjo because I wanted to talk about his hypocrisy. So in the process of preparing for that video, I decided to read this letter. And when I read this letter, I decided to confess of my fault and do this particular video to President. This video is actually to President Buhari. So, and I'm appealing to all Buhari loyalists and to President Buhari himself and to anybody in government and everybody that has access to President Buhari to take this video very seriously. I personally disagree with Obasanjo on many issues. I disagree with him that he went into coalition with Atiku. I disagree with him that he didn't provide electricity for Nigeria after spending 16 billion. So I have my own troubles with Obasanjo. But I guess my greatest challenge with Obasanjo is because he has a vested interest on Nigeria, which is not a bad thing, but he and other generals are treating Nigeria like a personal property. And, that is one of the things that I have as disagreement with President Obasanjo. But despite all this, I see the need to side with Obasanjo this time. I've always maintained, people who know me know that my allegiance has always been to the truth. I've always maintained that my allegiance, yes, in the words of Isaac Newton, that Socrates is my friend, Plato is my friend, but my greatest friend is the truth. I've always maintained that position. So my allegiance is not to Buhari, it's not to APC, it's not to Osinbajo, it's not to any person, but to the truth. And when I see the truth, I recognize it. Yeah, it's true that I supported President Buhari. When I see him, I see his sincerity, I see his honesty. And I was in Nigeria when he was the head of state, and I saw what he did. So that convinced me to support him even now. But when I see things that is wrong, my allegiance to the truth will not allow me to close my eyes. And I must speak the truth no matter what. And no matter at whose expense? I would like to address President Buhari and his supporters, who always come out with an assault against anybody that says anything against the president or against his policies. Most of the reports that I've read concerning Obasanjo's letter from the side of APC members and supporters is more of defensive. So instead of being defensive, my question is, have you really read that letter? And then the president himself came out and said that people who criticize the government on the basis of the insecurity situation in the country are unpatriotic. But let me say, after reading the letter, this letter of Obasanjo that is being regarded as criticism from a lot of Buhari loyalists, I will say that no. You know who is unpatriotic? Anybody that disregards this letter from Obasanjo, he is the person who is unpatriotic. Because this letter is totally different from what most people are saying about it, that is an assault. I don't see an assault here. I think this is one of the most patriotic letters that anybody could ever write about Nigeria, about the situation in the country right now. So I would like to address the supporters of President Buhari to take their time, like myself, to study the content of that letter before launching attacks. Because the problem we have in Nigeria is also the problem of blind followership and false loyalty. And that could be a great evil, maybe the greatest evil in the country. Because if you will not see the reality, if you will not look at reality in the eyes, but you will rather just want to be loyal to your principle, then we would drag the country down the rail. So we all must learn that even our enemies could teach us wisdom. Yes, a lot of people see Obasanjo as an enemy right now, but sometimes our enemies will be our biggest teachers. And our enemies, the fact that somebody is an opponent or an enemy doesn't mean that it will always be wrong. Sometimes our enemies too are right. And in this case, with this letter, I don't see Obasanjo as an enemy. It could be an opponent, but I think he's actually right. So I would say Obasanjo is right in this situation. So we can learn from our enemies wisdom. And another thing we must learn in Nigeria is the fact that we disagree with somebody doesn't mean that that person will always be wrong in every other thing he does. And doesn't mean that the person is totally evil. Even if we see somebody that is evil, sometimes even bad people do good things. And on the other hand, our loyalty to our own principle, to our own leader, doesn't mean that we have to be loyal to them in everything they do, even when they're doing the wrong thing. We also must learn that our leaders that we are loyal to could also be wrong sometimes. They cannot always be right. And in this case, even though I still support President Buhari, and I see myself as somebody that believes in him, in his sincerity, in his purity, in his integrity. And that's why I want to say no, but in this question, he needs to take a different stance. And I must come out to say, my position is, President Buhari must go back to that letter of Obasanjo and underline some things. And these are the things that I want to do today. There are many points from Obasanjo's letter that I personally have underlined, and I want to make a point of them today. I want to talk more about them today. And I want to address President Buhari concretely. I want to address Mr. Tinubu. I want to address Vice President Osinbajo to pay special attention to a lot of points in this letter. Obasanjo spoke about, one of the things he spoke about, Obasanjo spoke about collective thinking and dialoguing. Yes, I know what the supporters of President Buhari are thinking about this, because they are saying, well, they want to form they want to push aside the president or the government and come up with an elders council that will take over the rulership of the country. Like it's a legal way of overthrowing the country. Well, let's put that aside right now. Because of the situation, the emergency of the security situation in the country, I must admit, that yes, it's time to have a collective thinking and dialoguing in the country by let's look for appropriate and adequate way to form that council. But we must find a way to sit together with some people in the country and dialogue. Let's get people from the opposition party, the elders of the country, and let's get everybody to come together and talk about the security situation in the country. We must find an adequate solution to the security challenges of the country. Now, if you feel that these people like Obasanjo and the people in PDP, they are unpatriotic or they are doing this criticism, they are doing with a mischievous intention and that they want to undermine the government, if that is what APC leadership, Obasanjo, Oshibajo, Tinubu, Buhari, if that is what you all think, okay, you can I will even agree that you disregard the opposition in the council. But let's come up with a committee or a commission or a council somehow of experts. Let's come up with a committee of experts. Let's bring maybe foreigners. Let's bring foreign experts. Let's bring even Nigerian experts from diaspora, from Nigeria, to let the country see that you are responding, not just in the traditional way that, our armed forces will deal with it. They are not dealing with it. It's been 4 years now, or 5 years, going to 5 years, that they have not been able to deal with the security situation in the country. So let's show the country, President Buhari, show the country that you are passionate about the concerns of the people. This is no more hidden, that the whole country is concerned about the security situation in Nigeria. So don't just see everybody that is talking about that as opponents or as enemies. Do something. And one of the things we could do is to bring those people who are criticizing you, bring them to the table and say, okay, give me your solution or give me your recommendations. What do you people think? What are the way forward? Let's dialogue. Because when people see that you are at least dialoguing with them, you might not even dialogue with them about reconstructing of the country or restructuring of the country and other questions, but let's just zero in on security. Let's dialogue on security. Let's have a collective thinking. Let's find let's show them that you are trying to find an appropriate solution to this. And of course, if you don't do that, President Buhari, what will happen is that the miscreants and the unpatriotic elements in the country, they will take advantage of your inaction, and they will begin to campaign. They will begin to spread misinformation and disinformation and fake news like they have been doing right now. And the internet, the Nigerian internet and Facebook is full of fake news and disinformation, misinformation. And you know who is propelling that? It's you, Mr. President. And it's the leadership of APC. You people are propelling that by your silence. Do something. Call a committee. Call the elders together. Address the insecurity in the country. Because otherwise you are fueling all these disagreements. You are fueling this disinformation. So, and part of the most deadly disinformation that's going on right now is that any little crime that happens in Nigeria right now, it is now credited to Fulani herdsmen. And because you are a Fulani man, and because the herdsmen have also done some havoc. So if you don't want all that misinterpretation to keep on going, misrepresentation to keep on going on, you need to show the nation that you are hearing them and that you are ready to do something about it. So people are desperate, guys. I mean, Mr. Tinubu, I don't know what to call you, Chief Tinubu or whatever, but please, can't you see the desperation? These are not just opponents or enemies. People are desperate and feel that they cannot have confidence in this government anymore. Don't let us lose all credibility that Mr. Buhari has. Let's tell them and show them that we are capable, that this government is capable of providing adequate security. to protect the lives and properties of ordinary Nigerians. People are concerned. This is not IPOB situation right now. This is not OPC. This is not Oduduwa situation. This is a nationwide menace. If we don't address it, we are fueling organizations like IPOD and OPC and Yoruba elders want to do their thing. The Igbo elders want to do. We are fueling disunity and disintegration of the country. So President Buhari, I'm talking to you now as one of your loyal advocates. You know, I've never met you. I've never collected any money from you or from your APC or from any one of you. I've never received any help from you. But I've just believed in your integrity. And because of that, I am talking to you now as a concerned Nigerian diaspora. Please listen to the cry of desperation of your people. Boko Haram. Let's talk about Boko Haram. I mean, you've said it many times, Mr. President, and your generals have said it many times that Boko Haram is defeated. But now that you see the insecurity around Boko Haram, you know they are not totally defeated. Let's come out and admit it. You cannot be telling the victims who have been killed or the relatives have been killed or maimed or kidnapped or raped or sold into slavery. You will not keep on telling them everything is okay. When they are being raped, when they are being kidnapped, when they are being maimed, when they are being killed. I mean, show concerns. Don't just show concern by saying, oh, well, our military men are trying, or, we are trying to encourage them. No. Do something beyond the ordinary. Do something beyond the ordinary. I mean, get all interested parties, get all the all the stakeholders in the country, get them together. If you don't need them, you don't want those ones, get experts together, technocrats. I mean, form a committee, a commission somehow to discuss the strategies of resolving the situation in the country, the security situation in the country, so that we don't experience any bombing anymore, so that there are no more destructions and damage in the country. Another thing is, even though I supported President Buhari for the second term, but we still have to also admit that we have problem with unemployment. That unemployment is a national tragedy. We need emergency to be declared against unemployment. We need to declare a national emergency on two things, on unemployment and on illiteracy. How can we compete with the rest of the world when only 50% of Nigerians, less than 60% of Nigerians are even literate? And you want to compete with countries where it's 90%, 99% literacy, 100% literacy, and that even working 2-3 shifts in a day? Our productivity cannot even compare. We don't have human capital, because if people are not literate, there is no human capital to develop. They cannot even be developed to produce anything. And also we have our population, growth rising higher at the higher rate than our economic production and productivity. So we need to boost our economic productivity by developing our human capital. We need emergency against, about human capital development, against unemployment and against illiteracy. Because all these miscreants that you are talking about, these people that are causing all these bandits that are causing all the mayhem all over the world, is because they are not educated. They are not in schools. The headsmen also need education. And all these Boko Haram people is because they've not been sent to school. That's why Boko Haram easily could recruit them and, cause mayhem on the whole country. All of us are reaping the fruit now. We need an emergency. We need to arrest any parent that refuses to send their children to school. All those children that are hawking in the street, you need to decree a law, a quick one, that all the parents that are not sending their children to school, or if they see any children in the school, they must be arrested. Let the National Assembly, respond to this and enact a law or pass a bill to make education compulsory for everybody, and that anybody that doesn't, respond will be punished. Same with unemployment. When people are unemployed, They now are hiding behind the canopy of Fulani herdsmen, and they are doing banditry, kidnapping, raping, stealing, and all that, doing armed robbery all over the country just because they don't have jobs. So I really want to talk right now to the APC. If you are the ruling party and you are at the helm of affairs in Nigeria, hear the cry of your people. Banditry is killing Nigeria right now, to the extent that the Yorubas used to be the most peaceful. They are maybe not the most peaceful, but they are one of the most peaceful people in Nigeria. They now are saying they are going to raise an army of 1 million people to defend themselves. Banditry is killing, and all over in the middle belt, they have suffered so long, and they have been so quiet. But even now, they are saying that it is the Fulani herdsmen that are taking over their farm and their land, everything. So even the president's state, Katsina, everywhere, banditry is taking over. And everybody is blaming it on the Fulani herdsmen. And eventually on the president. Let's do something urgently. Otherwise, banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery, killing is taking over your country, Mr. President. So please do something urgently. Because the unfortunate situation is that criminality is becoming the order of the day. So please, let's do something. Mr. Tinubu, I speak to you. Have an emergency meeting now. Vice President Oshibajo, you know me. I know you. I know you are a sincere person. Please hear this appeal. Let's do something. Let's, just putting army in the highway is a good development. Put soldiers on the highways. But, let everybody know that you are hearing their cry and that you are not indifferent to their concerns. Get people together. Maybe not the political people who will manipulate the process, but get some people together. Let people see what you are doing. Because our diversity is at stake right now. And our diversity is our strength. And these are the things that Obasanjo was talking about in his letter. I mean, if you are a Nigerian and you love the country, there is no way to fault that letter from Obasanjo. Yeah, he might have his own ulterior motive, I don't know. But what he wrote in the letter, if you love Nigeria, you will do something about it, guys. Because the diversity in Nigeria is at stake right now. The middle belt people are rising against the Fulanis. The Igbos have already made their own statements against the Fulani. The Yorubas are doing the same thing. The Northerners are doing the same thing. The country is falling apart because our diversity is actually our greatest and most important asset. We should really know how to, at least for the sake of comforting and of appealing to all the nationalities, all the other regions in the country, that don't worry, we are working. At least show them you are working by getting their representatives to come and talk. Recently, I saw that the Oni of Ife went to see the president because of these concerns. Well, get him and other people. Let's all come together to talk. If you people in APC don't respond to this, my appeal, if you don't respond to the cry of Nigerians, I assure you that there will be rain, like Obasanjo said, rain of destruction, violence, disaster, disunity all over Nigeria. And it could lead to civil war. Because we have people right now like Showore who have started a movement, beret, the orange beret or yellow beret, to call for revolution. What is revolution? Revolution means civil disorder. So if there is civil disorder plus banditry, the country will fall apart, guys. Wake up! Because the best option, the best thing that this might result in is military overthrow. That would be even the most peaceful, the most unharmful ending. But it could get worse than that. It could lead to Rwanda kind of situation, civil war. And we already fought civil war. Because the level of dissatisfaction and disaffection in the country is everywhere. that everybody is saying something. Please listen. Don't just call them enemies. Obasanjo used a statement in his letter. He said, an adage in his letter. He said, a stitch in time saves nine. A stitch, that's an English adage. A stitch in time saves nine. So let's do this thing in time. Let's knock the problem on the head in time. Let's do something. Otherwise, I'm afraid there will be a reprisal attack against Fulanis. And right now, the people are already chasing Fulanis from their communities. And some of the Fulani leaders have also said, oh, the Fulani people should leave their place, should leave the south and come to the north. Later on, they will say, oh, no, southerners should leave the north and go back. That could lead to another crisis. Don't just say disregard them. President Buhari, don't just disregard these things. It could lead to Hutu kind of situation like in Rwanda. It could lead to attacks against Fulani everywhere, which could end in pogroms, genocide, civil war, and God knows what. And if Nigeria scatters, it's going to affect the whole of Africa. It's going to affect the whole world. So, Mr. President, I am crying out, screaming out, because this is emergency. Please respond to the cry of your people. But the president cannot do it alone. Come with a team. Form a security emergency team. Emergency, of course, about insecurity. You were elected on the platform of security. And now insecurity is engulfing the country. But insecurity is not the only challenge we are facing now. Unemployment, illiteracy, poverty. These are the emergency things that the president must respond to right now. Of course, I understand that some people will try to take advantage, but more people are taking advantage because of your inaction or perceived inaction. I'm sure you are doing things, and I believe in the sincerity of the president, right? But people are not saying enough of your action, and you need to submit the list of the ministers on time and quick. We need to get the economy back on our feet as fast as possible. So because your inaction is leading your political opponents to take advantage of it. The fake news is taking over because of your inaction. Your opponents are taking over because of your inaction. The bandits and miscreants of the society are taking over the country because of your inaction. People with evil intention are taking over because they are not seeing your proactiveness. Please, APC leadership, if President Buhari is not acting, go and act. Make him act. Oshomole, where are you? You are a man of action. Get your party to act. Tinubu, you are respected. Hey, get out and do something about this. For the love of God, church and nation. Peace.